No, I got an email one day last week from a female. I'm assuming she's Caucasian. Her name was Paula, and she asked me how I felt about Black Lives Matter, the police genocide, black on black crime, and the future of this country. Okay, let me first start off by saying I identify as a man before I identify with being black, and I've got several reasons for that. Like the first one being I don't agree with everything that's going on in the media about as far as these so-called cases. Like for instance, Rashard Brooks. Like I don't agree with the fact that he ran away from the cops and tried to fight with them and stuff like that. I don't agree that they should have shot him. No, but I also know this too that no one else is brought up with that case. When the cop told him to move the car from one point and move it over when he fell asleep again, there was no arrest possible for a DUI at that point because the officer instructed him to drive that car. My dad was in law enforcement for 30 years and he pointed that out to me. So that didn't come from me, that came from him. So be listening and looking out for that. That's an open and shut case right there. There was no arrest that could be made at that point because, like I said, he instructed that boy to drive that car. But I don't agree with the fact that he broke away. I don't agree with the fact that he had to think or that he thought those cops were going to do something to him physically because you could see the exchange between the cops. It was very amicable. So I don't think he was, really in his right frame of mind to think that they were going to do something to him. As long as you comply with the cops, I don't see there's nothing that's going to happen. Like that's what I can't understand. I can't fathom that there are people out here who just don't know how to have a peaceful interaction with the cops. Like if you knew what the profile of the average cop was, and someone else, a good friend of mine, gave me this analogy. Basically, you got a kid who was a lot of cops were military guys. They're disciplined. They like respect. When you give a cop respect, especially now that I'm older, and a lot of the cops or all the cops pretty much that pull me over are younger than me. If I go, yes, sir, that kind of stuff, do you know how many tickets I've gotten out of? I've gotten out of so many tickets that, like, all because I was cordial. I mean, it's been like, let's make a deal. Okay. The no restraint, not having your seatbelt is no points. But running a red light is a point, is a couple points. So I've negotiated with officers, okay, give me the red light. I mean, give me the seatbelt ticket so I don't get the points for the traffic. I mean, for the traffic light, and you get it. I mean, it's unbelievable how I don't understand how people just cannot have or cannot have peaceful encounters with law enforcement. You whenever you're pulled over or whenever you deal with the cops, which is something you shouldn't as a black person, you shouldn't want to deal with the cops at all because the cops aren't there for you. They're just not. You know that. And then I look at the Rashard Brooks, not Rashard Brooks, I'm sorry about that. George Floyd. Okay. I'm always going to go back to what occurred to where the police had to be called in the first place. Allegedly, he was passing counterfeit 20s. He's 46 years old and doesn't have a bank account. I'm 45 years old and I've had a bank account since I was 22. Now, I don't know his situation. I don't. But a lot of jobs require you to have direct deposit so they can, get your paychecks that way. I don't think I've had a job in the 21st century to where I didn't have to have mandatory direct deposit. So all you need, see, I brought this point up on Sean James' channel, and Sean James made excuses for him. You need so much identification to open a bank account, it was probably too much of a hassle for him. No, it's not. All you need is a driver's license. That's all I think you need. You might need a social security card. You might need I don't think you need these things, but you might need them. But the point is, you should have them. As a grown man, you should be able to go through life being able to show who you are, what your identification is. As an adult, you don't leave the house without ID. So He had 46 years to get a bank account. I had 45 years to get a bank account. I'm a black man. He's a black man. Why do I have one and he don't? Okay. But still, and again, doesn't mean he needs to lose his life. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's something in each one of these stories where I can find the aha moment. That's where you fucked up, nigga. So, like the boy that was gunned down by the vigilante police in Texas looking at that construction. Why was he there? If he wasn't buying that house, if he wasn't working on that house, he had no reason to be there. And then he had khakis on in the picture I saw. And I go jogging in my khakis all the time. Every time I see people jogging, they got khakis on, man. So, get off of that bullshit. And then you got the girl in Michigan who pulled the gun out. When if you watch the whole footage, you can see that that woman was trying to get out of that situation. And then I saw on Vicky Dillard's channel where they didn't hold those black women that started that shit accountable. They made it all out to be that it was the white people's fault and all this, that, and the other. And they're the ones that said, "I'll kick your white ass." They started that shit, man. And see, this is why I say I don't identify with black first. Because if you don't side with black people for everything, whether they're right or not, if you don't completely 100% side, you're cooned, you're compromised, you're siding with black people, you think you want to be white or whatever the fuck it is. But that's not the case. I'm a man. It's about accountability. For the boy Rashard Brooks, why are you drinking knowing you're on probation? Why are you drinking to the point of excess to where you can't even drive and you're on probation? Why do you resist arrest? Why do you grab the taser? Why do you fire the taser? Why do you run away? Men answer for things like this. That's what happens. Now, when it comes to, not seeing myself black first, that's not really a learned result. I actually grew up seeing myself as black first because I went to before I went to public school. I went to public school starting in eighth grade to high school, and then from seventh grade to second grade, I went to a Southern Baptist Christian school. It was called Newcastle Baptist Academy, right? And we had a Halloween party one day. And you remember them old Halloween costumes that used to come in like them cake boxes? It looked like a cake box where it would be, cellophane clear where you could see through, and you would get it would be a mask with a rubber band around the back, and it'd be a plastic suit that you would put on. Remember those Halloween costumes? Well, I had Indiana Jones. I went as Indiana Jones in the fourth grade, and every class would have a Halloween party, and the kids from other classes would go to other classes and show off their costumes. So when I was going around, my class was going around, I had my Indiana Jones costume on, and I remember this kid. His name was David Hernandez. He said, "Indiana Jones is a black piece of charcoal," and everybody started laughing. How do you think that made me feel? Okay, and I said his name was David Hernandez, right? So much for the black and brown coalition. And actually, Ryan Phillippe, if you don't know who Ryan Phillippe is, if you saw the movie 54, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, he was married to Reese Witherspoon. He went to that school. He did. He was in my fourth grade class. If you don't believe me, look it up. Ryan Phillippe. You'll see he's from Newcastle, Delaware. And then so that was the first time when I saw myself as black because I was insulted for being black in that incident about the Indiana Jones costume that I just told you about. And then when I was in ninth grade in high school, they had a Kwanzaa presentation, and I remember my staff center principal, Mr. Thomas. See, I'm a clean cut, well groomed, presentable young man. I'm not young anymore. I'm 48. But when I was 14, I was what you would want representing black people to white people. I hate to say it like that, yeah. But when it came time, because Mr. Thomas asked me to join the committee, so I go after school one day to the committee, and I remember the Riverside kids, Project kids, were basically talking about me, but not talking to me, talking to the other people running the thing. They're like, "Yo, there are people here who don't know anything about black culture or don't know anything weren't about trying to present this quasi presentation to the school. Why are they here?" And he was definitely talking to me, but I was, let me see, in ninth grade, I wrestled at 112 pounds. So I don't think I was really all that physically confident in myself to be assertive to be like, nigga, what the fuck you saying? But that's what they would have got then. But even though the Riverside kids never bullied me, they could have. They didn't like the fact that in their eyes I thought I was better than them because I was a preppy white kid to them that happened to be black. So that's why I don't identify with either one, and I'm not going to identify with either one before or I'm not going to identify as black first, nor am I going to be that token black guy that wants to be the friend of white people so that when white people want to claim that they're not racist, they point to me and get me to vouch for them. Fuck that. I'm not going to be neither one of that. And then you ask me what Black Lives Matter means or about what do I think about the protest. Black Lives Matter to me is nothing more than a bunch of homosexuals claiming that they want interracial sexual access. That's all it's about. You can see that the narrative will get turned around into how black transgender or black homosexuals are treated with racism by people when sexuality and sexual orientation has nothing to do with police genocide. Nothing at all. And black on black crime, my attitude towards that is it's being used as a deflection to where we don't want to talk about reparations. Well, what about black on? I mean, we're not going to talk about. I'm sorry, police genocide. What about black on black crime? That's a deflection to keep you from talking about black on black crime. And another thing I didn't add about the Black Lives Matter movement, because you sound like you're a Caucasian female. You asked me about what I felt about the people, white people joining it. That's all well and good up to the point where there's talk about economic empowerment for black people, reparations for slavery. The white people are going to jump ship once they start. Once it becomes about us getting an economic lift, reparations for what? That's what you're going to hear white people saying. So I'm not buying that they're in it because they want to help. They're in it because they know that the tables are turning. White supremacy is not long for this earth. And some white people think that if they side with us, that we'll be less punitive on them when they lose power. That is not, it is not in our heart to want to act revenge on anybody. We just want to be left alone. We just want to be left alone. We really, to be honest, I didn't want to go this far deep into it, but we actually want the reparations so we can separate. And I'll talk more about that if I'm invited to this panel. I was somebody, a YouTube red pill content creator, wanted to have a discussion about the things going on in the world, but he didn't address reparations and the racism and white supremacy. And I said we should talk about that. He said we can talk about that. He needed somebody on the other side to argue the point of reparations, I'm assuming. I sent him an email, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet. I'm not dissing him, but he may be afraid to have that conversation because the only way that when you say the future of this country, if racism is going to have any type of repair or acknowledgement, we got to put the issues out on the table. We got to talk about things that are not comfortable to talk about. I remember in high school, a kid that I knew, he actually got drafted in the major leagues. He actually, I'll talk more about him later, but he hit a home run. He got drafted by the Rangers, and he hit a home run off of Randy Johnson as his first major league hit. He was only in the major leagues for about, I don't know how many games and how many years, but he didn't get to really make it because they drafted Todd Helton right after him, and he got traded into that, and he didn't make it. But he did go to Korea and was like triple crown over there. His name is Cliff Brumball, Brumbaugh. You can look his name up and see that he's from Newcastle, Delaware. You'll have to go to Baseball Reference though. Don't go to he has a Wikipedia, but the Baseball Reference you can see his stats and see when he was drafted, and you can see his Korea League stats too. Well, anyway, the point I'm making is there was this girl in high school that we knew that was attractive, but she was a white girl that only dated black dudes. And I remember Cliff saying he would have slept with Stephanie Hamburger, but he wouldn't have dated her. And I said, why wouldn't you have dated her? And he said, because she used to mess with black boys. And he said it, he was honest about it. At first, I didn't know what to say. I just said, "Oh," I didn't know what to say. I was 16 and I wasn't woke consciously. I didn't have any type of black awareness in me at that point, so I didn't know what to say. But, looking back on it, I got loads of respect for him for telling me something that he really felt, and I can't be mad at him for that. Because when I told my dad about it, my dad said he would have never been friends with the guy again. That's not the attitude to take at all. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all. Like he basically told me that he would not mess with a white female that was known for messing with black dudes. He said he would sleep with her, but he wouldn't date her seriously because she used to mess with black boys. And that's another reason why, I don't identify with them. Nah, I don't identify with black or white. No, I'm strictly out here identifying as a fucking man. Okay? And then when you got that lady at the hotel that was harassing the woman's kids in the pool in South Carolina. You may not be familiar with these, or you may, but they're all out there. Everything that comes down my feed is about these Karens and everything else. And these Karens know that they can fool with certain people. First of all, the woman was there with her kids and no husband. If she had a husband, the right kind of husband, that woman wouldn't dare come over with no dumb shit. I'm telling you, they know who to fuck with when it comes to black people who they can harass. They're not going to harass me. I will tell you guys if I ever have an incident with a Karen, and I won't pull my phone out because I'm not like that. But I will tell you how this shit went down. But I'm telling you, I've said it numerous times. I have a look about me that says, don't come at me with no dumb shit. Just don't do it. And it just doesn't get done. And I'm not no physically intimidating dude. I'm 5'8". I weigh 140 pounds. I'm not a big dude at all, man. But I've been ranting a little bit on this so much. But yeah. And also black people know that the law enforcement is not on their side. Because if you saw the Night of the Living Dead, the zombies that were trying to get in that man's car when he had his daughter with him, he called the cops, but he didn't run them over because he knew he would have to answer for running them over if he did. So, kudos to that. But they know who they can fool with. And they know they can't fool with me, man. That's black or white. Nobody bothers me, man.